This is not opinion. I'm telling you what I have heard. They don't want to play with each other anymore. Russell Westbrook doesn't want to play with James Harden. James Harden doesn't want to play with Russell Westbrook.
Welcome back to the channel, guys, as we continue this marvelous NBA offseason blockbuster trade scenario segment. I have another one. Now, as you can tell by the title, the Golden State Warriors get James Harden. Now, how can they pull this off? You're wondering. Look at the screen there in front of you. It's easy. The #1 pick sent to Houston, Andrew Wiggins, as well as Kevin Looney for contract purposes. Now, if you look at the Golden State Warriors roster, let me see if I got the Golden State Warriors roster pulled up. Well, here it is. Okay, so Stephen Curry at the 1, James Harden, of course, at the 2. You can slide Klay Thompson over at the 3. Got Draymond Green still on the squad who can take on those challenges and ease Klay Thompson back into the game. Now, with that being said, let's keep it moving. Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Looney, as well as the #1 overall pick, who may it be LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, whoever it is, the Houston Rockets will now have a piece they can build around. Now, it all depends on if they trade Russell Westbrook. If they trade Russell Westbrook, I don't think James Harden wants to stick around for a rebuild stage. Now, James Harden is just looking around like, dang, I'm here by myself. No Clint Capella, no Trevor Ariza, none of the guys that are still there from when they won, I think, like 60-something games. They even had Ryan Anderson on the squad at one point in time, which was a terrible trade, but we know how that went. This is the first time in the last 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, the Rockets have failed to win 50 games. But the last couple of seasons, before Russ got there, before they traded Clint Capella, they averaged almost 50 wins a season. So now the Houston Rockets may be on the back end of what could have been. We're going to look back on this situation and say, man, 25 missed three-pointers, the most in NBA Finals history. What the hell were you guys thinking? All you needed to do was hit at least 3 threes, and you could have won Game 7. You could have went to the NBA Finals and lost to LeBron James, but hey, we ain't tripping. If you trade James Harden to any team in the NBA other than the Golden State Warriors for that #1 overall pick, the Houston Rockets will go down as the most failing franchise in a player's prime in history. I don't care what anybody say. That window that the Houston Rockets had to win the NBA Finals or even go to the Finals, it was just crazy. Go back to the Warriors. We know they had Kevin Durant, but you guys had the Game 1. Even without Chris Paul, that was your legacy game, James Harden, and you missed it. Dang it. You saw Kendrick Perkins said, Russell Westbrook, once he makes up his mind, he's going to stick with it, and it is what it is. Russell Westbrook to the New York Knicks, it makes a ton of sense for both teams. In this particular offense, now we will see if James Harden really can play off ball. You won't be able to stand around because of, dang it, I forgot his name already. The head coach, you guys know the head coach that got fired, Mike D'Antoni. In this offense with the Golden State Warriors, it is predicated around movement. We know Klay Thompson going off screens. Have you ever seen, just imagine James Harden in the same situations as coming on screens as Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be fun to watch. Look at this particular trade scenario, and I don't think the Houston Rockets are even thinking about trading James Harden. This is only a scenario, but it's up to James Harden. If James Harden wants to stay in Houston, he's going to stay in Houston. But if he wants to go, I'm gonna have to end the video. I don't know if you guys can still hear me, but the train's back there working. I'm working too. But if James Harden wants to stay with the Houston Rockets, you can scratch this video. It may not age well, but if he wants to be traded, the Houston Rockets have to look into getting that #1 overall pick. Now, I don't think that the Golden State Warriors will say no to this trade. Now, if I'm the Houston Rockets, and as we all know, Russell Westbrook already requested a trade. So once he requests a trade and they get assets in return for Russell Westbrook, James Harden, it's up to James Harden really whether or not the Houston Rockets hit the reset button on their whole entire franchise. But once you make the decision to fire your head coach and fire your general manager, who were there when you won the most games in recent memory in a 5 to 8 year stretch, well, they I was saying, at one point in time, it was at the Houston Rockets. We saw they averaged almost 50 wins season after season after season, up until this point when they got Russell Westbrook and they decided to play small, and the season was scored short. They were on pace to win 50 games for the 5th straight time, if I'm not mistaken. 5 straight years of winning 50 plus games. That is excellent. And also too, they had 60. I think it was probably 67 or 65 wins. Let me know if you guys agree with this particular trade scenario. I have more like this on the way. The NBA draft is just around the corner as well. We got more NBA off-season headlines,